It's the dog days of guessing season, with the start of real football still months away, so I'm turning my attention to dark horses in the MVP race. The conversation must be dominated by one position if we're going to be realistic. A quarterback has won the award in 18 of the last 20 seasons, including each of the last 13. I tried to lean into plausible, but not absurd as I put this list together. After all, this is not a ranking of frontrunners.
Here goes Bijan Robinson, keeps his feet.
At number 9, I have Falcons running back Bijan Robinson. It would take historic production and a surprisingly successful season for the Falcons to make Robinson a leading MVP contender, but I can see the path for him if I squint. Robinson was a first-team All-Pro after leading the league in scrimmage yards last season, but his team wasn't very good, and he didn't even lead Atlanta in rushing touchdowns. That title went to backup Tyler Algier, who departed in free agency, so perhaps there will be more goal line opportunities for Robinson in the first year of the Kevin Stefanski era. Now, there's a decent chance the arm strength challenge Tua Tagovailoa will be starting at quarterback for the Falcons this season, which means Robinson might face more stacked boxes than he did last season when he ran 42 times against them, which was 28th most in the league. If, and it's a massive if, no quarterbacks emerge as the clear-cut MVP favorites by mid-December, maybe a door opens for Robinson to pull off a rare feat. He would still need a record-breaking season that fuels Atlanta's first trip to the playoffs in nearly a decade, but he did become within 212 yards of setting the single-season scrimmage yards record in 2025. And there's no dominant team in the NFC South. So, Robinson gets the nod over electric Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs for the one spot on this list devoted to a non-quarterback, since Gibbs and his teammate, Jared Goff, might split votes if the Lions drop the hammer on the rest of the league in 2026. At number 8, I have Vikings quarterback Kyler Murray. We saw what Kevin O'Connell did with a reclamation project 2 years ago when he flipped the career arc of Sam Darnold by helping him become a Pro Bowl quarterback and earn a few points in the MVP voting in his lone season with Minnesota. Now, I'm fascinated to see what the quarterback guru can do with Murray, who's looking for the O'Connell bump after cratering in Arizona. He still has to beat out 2024 first-round pick J.J. McCarthy for the starting job, but if Murray's able to tap back into the dual-threat ability that earned him consecutive Pro Bowl trips a few years ago, it shouldn't be much of a competition. Now, while it might not pop off every corner of the page, the supporting cast in Minnesota looks strong on paper, led by one of the league's top players in wide receiver Justin Jefferson. If Jordan Addison and Jawan Jennings stay healthy, that could be a tough trio of pass catchers for defenses to match up against. The offensive line is solid, anchored by left tackle Christian Darrisaw. They're not the most dynamic at tight end or running back, but all in all, it's a respectable group. Murray has demonstrated a propensity for making defenses look silly. He was doing it not too long ago, albeit too infrequently. If O'Connell helps him unlock peak form, the Vikings could be surprise contenders in the NFC North, and the heat from the quarterback's MVP campaign might turn snowmen into puddles across Minneapolis next winter.
Let's go!
Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield is number 7 on my list. It's easy to forget, given how the Buccaneers face-planted in the second half of last season, but at midseason, Mayfield was a leading MVP candidate. Tampa Bay was thriving, dropping 38 points in an October win over the future Super Bowl champion Seahawks in Seattle. Now, injuries swallowed the team whole down the stretch, with Mayfield apparently playing through a lot of them. He'll be trying to bounce back without his go-to guy, future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, who departed for the 49ers in free agency, so it won't be easy. If Mayfield plays at an elite level despite relying on a young receiving corps led by 2025 first-round pick Emeka Egbuka, it's not hard to imagine the MVP chatter returning. Also, he'll be working with his 4th different offensive coordinator in his 4th season with the Bucs. But at least there's some familiarity with new OC Zach Robinson, who was the Rams' quarterbacks coach during Mayfield's brief stint with the team in 2022. The NFC South, while improved, is still very winnable for Tampa Bay, and Mayfield is only a year removed from throwing 41 touchdown passes. Better injury luck, which seems likely, could put him in the thick of the race once again. He might even have extra motivation from playing for a new contract. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts is number 6 on my list. Philly's offense went out with a whimper in the second half of last season, with Hurts posting a net negative on dropbacks and expected points added during his final 9 games of 2025, including the Eagles' playoff loss per next-gen stats. The vibes, well, they were even worse than those numbers. Given the scrutiny attached to playing quarterback for the Eagles, I expect Hurts will either enter next offseason with questions about his future with the team or be riding high after returning to something resembling the form that made him the MVP runner-up in 2022 and the Super Bowl 59 MVP. The latter of the two scenarios seems well within reach. Hurts is getting something of a fresh start in 2026, with former NFL quarterback Sean Mannion replacing Kevin Patullo as offensive coordinator after Patullo's lone season was rough as a play caller in Philly. A.J. Brown has been shipped to the Patriots, and the receiving core has a much different look, with Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks, and first-round pick Mekhi Lemon arriving this offseason. Second-round selection Eli Stowers gives the offense a freak athlete at tight end. The offensive line remains one of the league's best. I don't know if we'll see peak Saquon Barkley again, but he's still ranked 10th in rushing yards, even while taking a big step back with the rest of the offense last season. The ingredients are there for Hurts to roar back on a contending team. They'll have to be much better than the version of him we saw for much of last season, though, in an offense that will have him lining up under center more often. At number 5, I have Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold. The "Darnold's going to turn into a pumpkin" narrative was on life support heading into last season's playoffs, and it probably died for good when he hoisted the Lombardi Trophy on the night of February 8th. The former draft bust has now earned Pro Bowl nods in consecutive seasons while leading his teams to a record of 31-7 in that span, including the playoffs. He had a touchdown to interception ratio of 5-0 during Seattle's title run, with no fumbles lost in the playoffs. All that's left for him to prove is he's the MVP, more than the beneficiary of Jackson Smith-Njigba's rare ability, a dominant defense, and potent running game, even though such backhanded characterizations of Darnold's contributions in 2025 were myopic anyway. He might be asked to carry an even greater chunk of the offensive load, with Kenneth Walker III departing in free agency and Zach Charbonnet working his back from an ACL tear suffered in January's divisional round win over the 49ers. If Darnold proves up to the challenge and the Seahawks are contending for a second straight crown in the league's best division, it would only make sense if serious MVP buzz followed. Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels is number 4 on my list. What a difference a year makes. Last summer, the odds makers had Daniels much closer to the top of the board at MVP. The vibes were off the charts coming off Washington's surprise run to the NFC Championship game, with Daniels winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. After an injury-plagued 2025 season, everyone's waiting to see how he will get off the mat. Washington's running a new offense coordinated by 30-year-old former quarterback David Blau, who will ask Daniels to take more snaps from under center. I won't blame the third-year passer if the burden feels heavy. After the Commanders were very aggressive in adding support for him last offseason, this year's moves were far less splashy. At the moment, third-round pick Antonio Williams is the most notable addition to the receiving corps, which is badly in need of more juice opposite Terry McLaurin. I worry that the first 3 games, which are at Eagles, at Cowboys, and versus Seahawks, could derail Daniels and company before we reach October, but he's surprised us before. When healthy, he has the potential to be one of the most electric playmakers in the game. If the Commanders are playoff contenders come December, it will be because Daniels is playing out of his mind.
Goff taking the shot downfield for Williams, who's open. Jameson's got it to the end zone.
At number 3, I have Lions quarterback Jared Goff. Now, I'm a bit surprised there's not more MVP love for Goff right now. Yes, he plays in one of the league's toughest divisions, and the Lions' rough second half of the 2025 season is still fresh in our minds, but he's also the only quarterback to rank among the top 5 in expected points added in each of the last 4 seasons. He finished 5th in the MVP voting in 2024 and has made the Pro Bowl in 3 of the past 4 seasons. His game isn't built on sizzling highlights, but he's in a rare category when it comes to consistently providing top-tier production. His MVP campaign will go as the Lions go, and with a very manageable schedule, I like Detroit's chances to bounce back. Nothing will be more critical in determining Goff and the Lions' success than the play of the new-look offensive line, with All-Pro Penei Sewell flipping from right to left tackle, free agent signee Cade Mays stepping in at center, and first-round pick Blake Miller likely to replace Sewell on the right side. Goff has the weaponry to make things happen. With clean pockets, he should rack up big numbers connecting with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Isaac Tesla, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs. In fact, with David Montgomery now in Houston, Gibbs could be in for a career year that ultimately diminishes Goff's MVP standing. But this is still a quarterback's award. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence is number 2 on my list. Now, one could argue Lawrence is not a true sleeper for the award since he finished 5th in the MVP voting last season. The reason he qualifies is because the odds makers don't seem bullish on his chances after watching what has transpired in Jacksonville this offseason. I'm presuming the lack of buzz stems from the Jaguars' inactivity and free agency, and perceptions the team might have overachieved in year 1 under Liam Cohen. The biggest additions on offense were running back Chris Rodriguez Jr., who has a career high of 500 rushing yards, and second-round tight end Nate Berkshire, who made 38 catches in his 5 college seasons. Also, Lawrence waved goodbye to running back Travis Etienne, his teammate since their days at Clemson. And while it's unclear what exactly Travis Hunter's role will entail as he returns from injury, General Manager James Gladstone has said the 2025 first-rounder will be spending more time on defense in 2026. There are still quality pieces around the quarterback, and a bounce-back year by Brian Thomas Jr. would make them a lot more interesting. But it's going to take some development from Lawrence and some skill position players to put him squarely in the MVP conversation. He's coming off his best season, and it's entirely possible a second year in Liam Cohen's system will bring out an even better version in a division Jacksonville has proven it can win, which is why I'm ranking him highly on this list.
Had to go quick with the play clock running down. He did. It's a boot. What a play, Purdy! You deserve to dance.
My number 1 MVP dark horse for the 2026 NFL season is 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. Unlike every other player on this list, Purdy gets to enjoy the stability of playing in the same offensive system for the 5th consecutive season, with one of the best in the business, Kyle Shanahan, at the helm. In fact, aside from Purdy and Trevor Lawrence, everyone else on the list has a new offensive coordinator this year. Continuity alone does not make an MVP candidate. Purdy knows that, having finished 4th in the MVP voting in his first season as the team's full-time starter back in 2023. What's different this year is the 49ers made moves to give Purdy what could be the best receiving core he's ever had. Signing future Hall of Famer Mike Evans was the blockbuster acquisition, but San Francisco also brought in a former 1,000-yard receiver in Christian Kirk, and clearly has high hopes for second-round pick Dazon Stribling, who has the combination of size and speed to make those who believe he was drafted too early eat their words. If 2024 first-round pick Ricky Pearsall breaks out, Shanahan could have an embarrassment of riches. Purdy still has one of the league's better offensive lines blocking for him, and maybe his most talented pass-catching weapon of all in running back Christian McCaffrey. It's worth monitoring how tight end George Kittle fares as he makes his way back from an Achilles tear, but backup Jake Tonjes performed well when he received opportunities last season. Now, navigating a schedule that includes 2 international trips and 7 games against teams that made the playoffs last season will not be easy. Most people probably have the 49ers as the 3rd best team in their division, with the reigning champion Seahawks and Super Bowl favorite Rams in the NFC West. If Purdy can lead his team through that gauntlet and come out on the other end as the QB1 of a leading contender, he should have a powerful narrative MVP voters can embrace. The guy knows how to win games, with a 30-15 record as a starter in his 4 NFL seasons, and I can't wait to see what he can do after injuries limited him to 9 games last year.